Hello and welcome to another tutorial from Blender to Dota. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how um, to take a UV map that you've made for your object, and I'm going to show you how to change the UV layout of your model, and and keep the same. If you've started doing texture work, you can keep the same texture. So it's really great to know if you at some point in your project you want to change the UV layout. It's really helpful to be able to keep the same. If you've started painting a texture or started texture work, it's nice to be able to transfer it over. So, anyways, um, I started up Blender here and I created a super simple sword here. I'm in texture paint mode right now. I'll move it to edit mode. You can see it's got 26 triangles, and it's just at this point it's just one-sided. So you can see there's nothing. It's not mirrored. I'll put it in ortho view there with the 5 and 7 to go into the top view. Anyways, there it is, my super simple sword, and you can see here I'm in the UV editor, and you can see the UV layout here. And I just started painting a texture there, and you can see it's just the way I've laid it out here. It's not really making good use of this whole space here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this object. So I'm going to hit Tab to go into the object mode here. Yeah, that's right. Tab to go into object mode. I'm going to go Shift D. That's going to make a duplicate copy. And I'm going to hit M right away, and I'm going to move it to layer number 2. So now I've got that one, and you can see the name of it over here. If you're in the over this little box here, it shows me that the name is plain, and because it's very plain. And then this one's plain 0.001. Blender just automatically named my duplicate with a dot with a point, and then it just adds a little number on the end of it. So this one here, I'm not going to bother renaming them. It doesn't matter really. So I'm just going to look at it here, and I'm going to split the UV right here. So I'm going to select those two. I'm going to go in edge mode here. I'm going to select those two vertices. I'm going to hit Control E, and I'm going to go mark seam. So I've marked a seam there, and then I'm going to hit A to select everything, and then U to unwrap. And there, I like that a lot better because I can organize this now. I'll just select one of the vertices and click L to select everything, S to scale it, and I'm just gonna rotate it like this. And then this one, I'm gonna do the same thing. L to select everything, grab, rotate, grab. So you can see I've changed the UV quite a bit. You can see it's a little bit funny looking now. I'm gonna scale that up too. Yeah, not optimal at this point. Just fiddle around with this a little bit here. Anyways, it doesn't matter how great it is. I've definitely changed the UV on this anyways. So there you can see that's my duplicate object now. There's my original, which is still correctly mapped. You can look at that. So what I want to do here is on this one, I want to create a new image. I'm going to go image, new image. And I just created a new image, new black image there. And I'll go image, save as image, and I'll just give it a, I'll just call that duplicate. And I'll save it as I like to save as TGA. It doesn't really matter, whatever you prefer. So anyways, I've got that image on there, and now what I'm going to do is go back to the original one here. I'm going to go over to my materials up here. I'm going to create a new material for it, and in the textures, I'm going to go new texture. I'm going to make that an image. I'm going to open up the image. I have it saved on my desktop here. Simple sword open. So that's the image that, and I'm gonna change the mapping to UV mapping. So there's basically 3 things I had to do there. Change the UV mapping. I had to load the image and I had to set this to an image here. So it's pretty simple. So that's set up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, and I'm going to, down here in the layers, I'm going to shift select the other layer. So I've got both layers selected. You can't see the other object, this one. If I select it, I selected it. You can see they're both visible now. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to shift select the other object, and you can't really tell, but this little line around here goes a little bit darker orange. And I'm going to go into the rendering here, and I'm going to go down to the baking here. And instead of full render, I'm going to bake textures, and I'm going to click on this box selected to active. So what it's doing is it's taking the first object I selected, which is this one, and then I shift selected this one. So it's taking the information from the first one and it's moving it to the second one. And then down here, the margin, that's the distance it bakes out. I'm going to put that at a maximum 64. This is also a great technique if you want to get rid of edges, like where there are seams. You can use this to bake out the color. You'll see this in a minute. So I'm going to hit bake here, see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't explode. Okay, so there's my new bake. I just pressed Control up to make that full screen, if you were wondering. You can hit N to get rid of that there. So I'll save that image now. Image, and you can see that it's basically, now if I look here, it's basically the same thing now. It's baked it onto the new image, and I'll just image, save as image. There we go. I saved that out now. And sometimes I lose a little bit of texture resolution. So sometimes I'll bake up, say if it's a 512, I'll bake up to a 1024 or 2048 or something like that. So so yeah, there's my original UV, and then here is my second UV. So hopefully that helps you out. And if you have any questions about Blender or Blender related stuff and creating game art, or I'm not an expert, but I know a few tricks in Blender. I've been using it for a long time. So hopefully that helps you out, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.